All right. Thank you for everybody coming. I know I talked about it post-game situation, with fortunately we lost Coach Hester Saturday, a few hours before the game, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family, and we're going to do some things to honor him at the game this weekend. We're going to have Unbreakable on our helmet and his initials, and then we're also going to wear black, because he all of his Unbreakable merchandise, apparel, that he was using, because very expensive what he was going through. He always had it in black. So love Coach. Matter of fact, it's going to be his birthday tomorrow. So happy heavenly birthday to Coach Hester, and I know I put the funeral arrangements on my, what do they call it, X now, or whatever it is, X, Twitter, whatever. I put it on there, and November the 11th, and he's just been a shining example to our team and staff, and his family as well, how they've handled everything just unbelievably well. And so with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
In the days since, how's the team holding up? And
they're doing a good job. We're very fortunate. And we've got Big Joe Thompson, who's our in charge of our FCA, and then also Emmett Gill, who works with mental health here for student athletes on campus, and then all the coaches too. Talking to the guys, and but he was a different strength coach. Not just because of his knowledge and all this, he was really close with the kids, and probably more so than any strength coach I've ever been around or heard about. And, and he was texting and talking to those guys all the time. And so we've told them, if there's any issues or problems they want to talk about, we'd love to visit with them. And Emmett and Joe are at practice today, and they're going to be around all week in the next few weeks.
Do you anticipate taking your team to the memorial service?
I don't know. We're going to have to look at that. It's going to be November the 11th. And, we're certainly going to talk about it with our guys. I'm happy that it is our bye week. So that, worked out. So we're going to, talk about that when we get a little closer.
Willie, not to be insensitive, but I'm sure it's something you have to think about, his role with the team. Have you decided how you're going to sort of manage the...
No, we've got a good group of guys that have been, working with Kurt, and we're just going to proceed and keep going, and we'll address all that when the season gets over.
On football, coming off the win, you guys were ranked yesterday in both major polls. What do you? Just the milestone and sort of what you're doing here. What can you speak to that?
It's almost like we talked about last week with getting bowl eligibility, and that's a goal, and being ranked is something you want to have happen to your team. But we got a lot of other things we would like to accomplish this season. The first one is going and playing great against West Virginia this weekend. I didn't even address it with our guys this morning. I probably should have. But
with everything that's happened since Saturday with Coach Hester, big win, rankings, how do you keep your guys focused this week?
Well, I always talk to him about, if you want to be great, you have to, and you want to be elite, you have to consistently give your best every single day. And that's hard. That's why there's not a whole lot of elite people or elite teams. So we on Mondays, we go ahead and flush the last game down the toilet. We move on to the next game. And, that's what we did today. And I'm very open about all the different things that happen, obviously, with Kurt and all those things. But, we want to honor his legacy by doing the very best we can every single day, too. So that's one of the things we talked about this morning.
Going back to Arizona State, you had a 4th and 13 play in the fourth quarter. What was your thinking on that?
Well, we just punted one in the end zone on a pooch, and obviously we would like to throw the ball downfield a little bit further than what we did. But it's you get in that field zone where if we don't get it, we punted the end zone. I guess we gained 13 yards, something like that. I don't know exactly where the ball was. You might know. Yeah. So, all right. So it was I think we had it maybe on 36. We'd also had some PIs, and we'd like to see if we could have got them in that kind of situation. But that's kind of where we're at. If we're pooching it good, we'll probably give it pooch. And there at the end of the game, it helped us. We did pooch one late, and they caught it, I believe, on the 4.
Coach, on the defense side of things, Eddie Wallace coming off of a career night with 3 sacks. I mean, just how huge has he been for your defense?
He played great. He's just getting better and better. He's getting more healthy every week. He'd had some injuries when we got him back in May, and Andrew Crane and our docs, they all did a great job of getting him full speed. And I think he's just feeling better and better. And he plays with fantastic leverage, plays with fantastic effort, loves football. And we had 3 sacks, and I think a tackle for loss. And, just played extremely well on Saturday. Had a couple of hits on the quarterback as well, some hurries. So he had an excellent game.
Willie, if I'm not mistaken on the numbers, you're 25 of 27 in the red zone this year. Just that conversion rate, obviously you stressed the touchdown part of it, but just to get those points, what has that meant to?
Well, you're always wanting to, get points, but like you said, we talk about 4-point plays. We want touchdowns instead of field goals. That's our goal. We're fortunate we got an excellent field goal kicker, but every time we get down in there, it's gives you an opportunity to win. And when you score touchdowns, in the red zone instead of kicking field goals, so we got to get even better in that area. And same thing defensively, we got to limit them to field goals. We were playing really good defense this season, but our red zone defense is an area that we can improve in.
On West Virginia, I think they're on their 4th quarterback right now, a freshman. What have you seen maybe the last couple of games since he's been in there?
I just got done watching the TV copy of their TCU game. I try to watch TV copy so I can watch the whole game, maybe see something that you don't see, when you get the coach's copy. But he seems to understand what they're doing, and they were within a whisker of winning last week. So they've had a tough schedule, and they've. But we're gonna have to play great. I told our guys it's a good ball club that we're playing. I got a lot of respect for Coach Rich Rod and what he's done at all the different places that he's been at. So we're gonna need to play really well Saturday at 11 o'clock.
You guys got to a big lead, and what did you say of Arizona State that allowed them to, come back and?
We probably didn't keep the pedal to the metal, as much as we needed to at times. Part of that's me, but it's like I told our guys, we're playing to win, and it's whether it's by a point or 8 or 15 or whatever it might be. We want to accomplish our goal. And we're happy with the win.
Willie, on the return game, I know Mackay was coming off of the injury. You feel like he's been about 100 this year, or
I think he's done an excellent job fielding punts, fielding kicks. First kickoff. That we were within a whisker of really breaking that thing. And, it's, when the same thing I talk about with the quarterback all the time, right? The return guy gets a great return. He sometimes gets too much credit, because 10 other guys did their job and did it well. When he doesn't get a good return, sometimes he gets too much blame. That means some other guys didn't do a good job. So he does an excellent job of fielding punts. Excellent job. Makes good, smart decisions. And, there's a bunch of dudes running around you, and you're playing in front of 50-something thousand people. So we just got to do a great job with the other 10 guys doing their job, getting them the ball in space. And, the one thing about punt returns, too, is sometimes everybody does their job, and the kick doesn't cooperate. The guy kicks it 40 yards with 4.5 hang time, and you're not going to get a return. So you got to have both of those elements in order to have a great return.
Is the crowd surfing in the locker room after a win something you can get used to?
Yeah, I've done that since 1993, so I've done it a couple times. I love doing it after a win. The kids enjoy it. We just want to have a little bit of fun in there, in the locker room after a tough, hard-fought ball game. So I've been fortunate to have done it a few times.
Where did that kind of start?
When I was at Coffeyville Community College, our coach we had a song that we sung, and he'd kind of jump in there, and then when I said when I get my first head coaching job, I'm gonna do the same thing. And everybody always asks me, "Are you worried they're going to drop you?" And I only do it after W's, so they're going to catch me after a W, right? But we like having a little fun. So it's I get a lot of text messages after game from former players who kind of start the beginning of the song that we sing, because they know that's what we do after a win.
Coach, you said a lot of times quarterback gets praised, gets the blame, things up. Where do you see Connor right now in terms of just leading and being the guy out there on the field?
I think he's getting more and more comfortable every single week. I thought he played really, really well Saturday night. I thought he ran the ball extremely well. We got to do a better job of running the football with our backs and take some hits off of Connor. I thought he threw the ball extremely well. He was smart. There's a lot of stuff going on with the quarterback, and I thought he played a really good overall football game. He's smart. He did a good job throwing the ball. He did a great job running the ball, got us out of some bad situations. And I think he's just feeling more comfortable with the offense and knowing the guys.
Willie, since we last talked to you before the game, you had mentioned about Boogie getting that second opinion, and then it looked like he had surgery. Is there an update on him? And then also Carlos looked like he played and didn't have any issues.
I think Carlos is good to go, and Stefan, unfortunately, is out for the season. And he's played great football here at the University of Houston, and we're going to try to do whatever we can to get him another year back and all those kind of things. But I don't, one way or another, I don't think his career's over. I think he's, I'd like for him to come back here and play for us. That's number one. But number two is I think the guy's got a chance to play at the next level as well. And he was starting to really come on, and I think our passing attack is starting to come on too. So, but he was in our team meeting this morning, and he's very, very involved.
Willie, when you're winning, a lot of things come into focus on different parts of your program, personnel department, scouting. You have to hit on a lot of guys that you go through the transfer portal. You have a lot of guys who are contributing. What's that been like to know that when you select a guy or you zone in on a guy that they're contributing?
Yeah, we talk all the time about perfection is our goal. Excellence will be tolerated, and we got to do a great job with that because there's a lot of competition with different guys, and you got to really see if they can play at this level. And then the other part that I think we did an excellent job of this year is finding guys that fit how we do things in our football program. We really did a good job of finding not only good players, but also really good people. And it makes it so much easier as a head coach, position coach, coordinator, strength coaches, nutritionists, everybody involved in the program when you got good people. And we certainly do. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to handle, something as tough as last Saturday, with our guys because of the makeup of our players.
Had anything in season like that? What's going on in your career?
No, I've been fortunate in that regard. I'd like one other thing too. I hope we can get a great crowd out there. I always get our marketing people and our AD, and they always had me do different things. You know, hey, coach, let's do this to draw a crowd and all this other kind of stuff. Every place I've ever been, how you draw a crowd is you win. All right, so we've done that part of it, and we want to continue to keep doing that part of it. And we'd love to get a big crowd out there. It's 11 o'clock in the morning, Saturday. I think that's a perfect time for a ball game. All right, so let's get everybody out there on Saturday at 11 o'clock. Let's have a fantastic crowd and get ready to cheer on the Cougs. What's that? Oh, yeah, one other thing, too. We are having the 10-year anniversary of the Peach Bowl champions, and they're going to be honored at the game as well. I talked to Coach Herman last week, and he's coming, and I think, I know Greg, but I think most of the team's coming. They've got a really good turnout that's coming, and I think it's neat to have all those guys back. And they're a big part of the history of U of H Cougar football. I mean, I remember watching the game. I went back and was at the Peach Bowl this last year, and everybody that I talked to associated with the Peach Bowl talked about that game. I mean it. Probably 20, 30 people. When I saw them, they talked about 2015 and U of H coming in there and getting after Florida State and all those kind of things. So that's one of the biggest wins in school history. So that's another reason to come out to the game. Honor those guys. Everybody good? Thank you.